1. So it's a bit of a backstory. I have many years under my belt of building custom computers, and have built a name for myself in my town as a guru. Friends started that name years ago. I have always been into tech, anything tech, and now I freelance AI, app security and repairs, graphic design for games, programming games, web design and development. And my favorite is custom builds per user. I have a few questions I ask people that want a custom build from me, I will explain later, as it helps me decide on the parts and upgrades to the hardware down the line if chosen to do so. I work from home as I don't own a storefront and work solely alone. I also don't make as much as you'd expect from custom builds. Also, I'm pretty patient with people since I'm used to customer service and have taken care of my special needs brother and sister. So with that out of the way, here we go. I was at home working on a server for a local small mom-and-pop place when I received the call from Karen. I answered and she started off rather nice, but that was about to change. She said it was her son's 15th birthday and wanted to get him his dream computer, and that I was highly recommended to her by her friend. Always a bit of a boost to hear people recommending me. That's when I started to ask my questions. I first asked about budget. She said $2,000. Second, I asked her if he planned to stream videos, make his own stream content, or make YouTube videos. She didn't know. I told her that's okay. But if he did, I'd need to know so we can plan for that. She said let's plan for it. Third question was what games did he like or was he planning to play? She didn't know, and why the hell I'm so interested in what her kid does. I explained games have different settings for graphic quality at different resolutions, and then I explained frame rates to her as well. She said just pick what I think would be best, and not to be picking in her son's life. I had to explain the questions are so I can build him the best PC for his uses. She accepted this and we went on. Third question was if there was Ethernet or will he be using Wi-Fi. She yelled over the phone saying so I can hack her or something. Apparently she thinks knowing this allows me to hack her, and why would I? I had to explain again that this was so I could include a Wi-Fi card or a motherboard that has Wi-Fi capabilities, as some come out of the box ready for it. She was mumbling something but said fine, and if she gets hacked, I get sued. I had told her I don't hack people, just need to know so I can spend more or less on parts. She then said no more questions, just do it. I told her I ask these questions to better provide the correct parts and PC services I can, as this allows me to build to the user. She said, well, I think you have enough information now, just do it. I was thinking I literally don't have the information, as she didn't know. Maybe it was a surprise for her kid, I thought, and didn't want to give it away. Now, I think she just didn't know her kid. So, I just took the most popular games and moderate graphics into account. I gave her the price, which was just over $1,900. Now, mind you, the price for GPUs were coming down around this time, but still high. I always charge a $100 build fee, so her total was just over $1,900 with that fee. She then told me I tried to get every penny in Walmart, as I'm cheaper at around $1,000. I explained to her yes, but they're using older hardware and games are always advancing. That this allows him to play any modern title and future ones as well. She then asked if that was the monitor, keyboard, mouse, and desk with lights. If only she would have let me finish my questions before. I explained no, that this was just a computer, as she never stated she wanted all of that with the price. I tried to explain that my questioning is all about the build itself first, then the peripherals, but never got to it as she exploded in a rage, telling me I was a scammer and how her son was gonna build his own games and be more successful than me, and that I should be lucky to build a computer and do it for free since he will be famous one day. I stayed calm, as normally I would have snapped a treatment like this and just hung up. But I have a soft spot for people who want to learn tech, and it was the kid's birthday. So I told her that there was no need for such words. Then she said, I'm telling everyone who you really are, Mr. Scammer, and hung up. The next day I got a call from her husband. Oh boy, I thought when he told me who he was. However, he was very nice. I went through my process again, and the computer was to be a surprise. I then asked if they wanted I could build the PC with their son, or teach him, or all of them, how to. It's something I do so they can upgrade or get a small head start on learning. He loved the idea. And the day came, and apparently I was an idol to the kid, as his youth pastor had a custom Marvel case I built for his computer. Who is the one who recommended me. The mom, though, was just silent and never said a word. Me, the kid, and his dad all had fun, as I taught them, but the mom didn't join. They even spent more at the husband's request, as he wanted his kid to have the best. He tried to pay me more, but I refused, as I don't charge more than $100 per build, unless I'm driving farther away for a build to be done in person. I did get a bad review on my store's Facebook, but no one paid attention. I guess Karen is still a Karen. 2. So I had an encounter with a woman with the most outrageous logic yesterday. I was on a long train journey, about 10 hours, going from the first station to the very last of the route. As per usual, I had a seat reservation for the entirety of the journey, as the train is usually fully booked, and people without reservations sometimes have to sit on the floor. This was the case yesterday as well. The way it works with the train company here is that over each seat there is a small screen labeling which seats are reserved and from which city to which, not specifying the station, if the train stops multiple times in one city. Also, when the train has passed the city, the seat will no longer be labeled as reserved, as either the owner of the reservation will be sitting there, or it will be empty and up for grabs for anyone else. Now to the beginning of the story. As I boarded the train on the first stop, my reservation wasn't showing up after the train left the station. The seat next to me was labeled as reserved from the next city onwards. The train stops multiple times in the city, so there is no way of knowing when the other person will board the train. At some point, a woman A, sat next to me, asking if the empty one is the reserved seat. I said yes, assuming she is the one with the reservation, and got confused about the numbering of the seats. At the very last station, another woman B, boarded the train, claiming that woman A was in her seat. Woman A said no, claiming the seat she was in was not reserved, and I must be in the woman's seat. Woman B showed her her ticket with the seat number matching the reservation label on the screen above, aka the seat she was in. Woman A argued that I must be in the reserved seat, and that one seat was up for grabs. I told her that the seat I was in was reserved from the first station onwards, therefore not showing up on the screen, and showed her my ticket to confirm. Woman A refused to listen, and was of the opinion that if Woman B has a reservation, I must move because she was there first, claiming the unreserved seat as the screen only shows one reservation. Therefore, regardless if it was on my ticket, the reservation wouldn't be valid, and I must move so Woman B can sit in my seat, according to her. I told Woman A that I'm not going to give up my reserved seat. Woman B then threatened to find the train conductor if Woman A refuses to get off her seat. Woman A now came on with her final offer. I move, she gets my reserved seat, and Woman B could sit in her reserved seat. I told her once again that I'm not giving up my seat. Woman A then stated that she gets off the train at the next city and I could sit on the floor or stand and get my seat back an hour and a half later. I refused again after Woman B threatened to find the conductor again. Woman A grudgingly got up and mumbled something as she went looking for a different seat. Woman B apologized to me that her seat reservation caused so much trouble with this random woman, and I told her that there is no need for her to apologize because other people feel entitled. And to be clear, if Woman A had a reason, medical, pregnant, disability, etc., to really need a seat, I would have given up mine for the duration. Also, she found another one quite easily. 3. About one story ago, there was a story about a Karen and her son's birthday building him a custom gaming PC. For those who've not heard it, Did you skip it? Come on now. I've been doing custom builds and many other things in the field for years. Also, my dad is a pastor, and I'm not forcing religious beliefs, just sharing what happened on a single day. So a bit of a backstory on this Karen. She was always trouble from the start. I would say that she had a mental issue, but it's really hard to say. She didn't like me from the start. Tattoos on my arms. Only 2, one is for autism awareness. Dyed hair, purple. And took care of all the tech in the building for the church. Her grandson used to do it, but stopped because he wasn't paid. On this particular day, it was cold out, as was almost every Central, almost Eastern America February. I was doing my thing, getting all the mics, speakers, projectors, and everything in between ready for the day. As people started coming in, or from Sunday school, Karen, of course, was loud, but usually drowned out by the kids, who went to Betty, as she gave them candy, if they behave. She is a really sweet older woman. On this day, Karen was louder than usual. She was yelling about how her grandson would normally come to church, but since I took over the equipment and repairs, he doesn't come anymore. I was thinking, but he literally quit because he found out it's not a paid job. I didn't care, since I could put it down in my resume as charitable hours and work experience. By the way, you can do this, but not all jobs will accept this as true experience in their opinion. While Karen is yelling, I'm ignoring her, checking the mics for the choir. That's when my dad called me over to look at his computer. He thinks he opened an email he shouldn't have or something, as his computer was running slow. So I look, and I went as far as the command prompt and couldn't find anything. When I opened Task Manager, I found some of his applications didn't close, and ended those tasks as his CPU was hitting 95% usage. Now, my dad runs lots of applications, as he can switch between a virtual Bible, PowerPoint, and a few others dedicated to his sermon. But he was running on a laptop that was Pastor Prime. It was me opening the command prompt, though, that Karen found offense to. In the middle of a song, she got up, stole the mic from a singer to speak. She was a teen that was already self-conscious about singing, and was encouraged to if she wanted. So seeing Karen rip it from her hands, the church was about to go 1692 on her. She started yelling in the mic so loud that the compression was not allowing her peaks to come through. Even without the mic, it was a small church, only 200 or so. She started saying how the church has fallen apart because of me and my parents, how we invited sin and that her grandson was even affected by this change. This is where things took a turn for the weird. She then explains how she saw me put some kind of code in my dad's computer, and that it was the devil's program, and that I was trying to hack heaven. So I could apparently send souls to whatever torment I chose. Natch. I was obviously trying to hack heaven, she said. People are more shocked at this point than confused. Why? Because the girl who sang has a red-headed grandmother, white hair now, that didn't take kindly to the interruption. To be honest, I was laughing at this point at the ridiculousness of it all, and my laugh is pretty loud. Apparently Karen heard me laughing, and I later found out, after the catfight, she was telling people to listen to my deranged laughing. It's the sign of sin. To which I laughed again. She never came back there, and we didn't really care much, because it was not just us she would behave this way to, and so people were sick of her. So you better watch what you know, otherwise people will believe you hack heaven. 4. This story took place back in the early 2000s. My college roommate Nick and I were very active members of our local Christian church. We attended services every Sunday, Bible studies every Tuesday night, attended other church gatherings on occasion, and listened to a variety of Christian-themed podcasts. This was routine for us during the spring and summer months. Fall and winter, however, was a different story. I love football. It is my passion in life. I'll not only watch my favorite team, go 49ers, but will watch as many games as I can regardless of who's playing, morning, afternoon, and night. So with a new season about to kick off, I inform Nick that I won't be attending Sunday services with him till after the NFL season is over. He was disappointed with me and tried offering up some compromises so I can still attend Sunday services without missing any games, like recording and watching them after the services, but I refused to budge. He eventually tells me that I shouldn't be putting football before God. I tell him that I wasn't putting football before God, I was working God around football. I still go to church with him Tuesday nights for the Bible studies, listen to the podcasts as usual, and reminded him that the church did record the Sunday sermons and post them on their website for viewing. So, I'll still hear them all, just from the comfort of our apartment. And I'll just mute the TV during halftime, or in between games to do so. Now, I wasn't trying to convince Nick to skip church with me, but he was an avid gamer and he liked my compromise more. So he decided to stay home with me on Sundays, play video games while I watched football, and we would listen to the sermons at some point during the day. He justified doing this by saying we would be saving quite a bit on gas money not driving to church so often, or that we can use this extra time on Sundays to do schoolwork if needed. Whatever helped him sleep easier at night. Fast forward to February. The NFL season has ended. Nick and I finally returned to Sunday services. On our first day back, we hung around after the sermon to mingle with our fellow churchgoers, when we were approached by an older woman in her late 60s to early 70s. Try to imagine the nicest, sweetest granny you can. The type of lady who would bake you cookies on a whim, just because she can. Nick and I didn't recognize her, but she remembered us. She asked us in her sweet granny voice,
"Well, hello, you two. I haven't seen either of you around in months. Where have you been?"
Nick and I told her the truth as to why we haven't been to Sunday sermons since September, and she goes from sweet granny to mega Karen in an instant, and she started screaming at us,
"Sinners, heathens, you put football and video games before God. You're both going to hell. You'll burn for an eternity in hellfire,"
etc., etc. Nick and I tried to calm her down. We told her that we still came to church once a week for Bible studies, and that we still listened to all the sermons online and we didn't miss a thing. But Granny Karen screamed,
"That doesn't count. None of that extra stuff matters. You have to be in church on Sundays or else you go to hell, and that's exactly where you two blasphemers are going."
At this point, Nick and I thought the best thing for us to do was leave quietly and not escalate things. But then Granny Karen says this,
"You have to be in church on the Sabbath. If you're not in attendance on the Sabbath day, you will burn in hell."
Upon hearing this, I decided to give Granny Karen a taste of her own medicine. A sinister grin crept onto my face. Nick noticed, his eyes widened, and he frantically shook his head as if to tell me not to do what I was thinking about doing. Well, I did. I look back at Granny Karen and say, "So let me see if I understood you correctly. You said that we have to attend church services on the Sabbath. And even if we go to church every day of the week but the Sabbath day, then it doesn't count and we will go to hell, correct?"
"Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you."
"Ma'am, you do realize that Sabbath is the seventh day and God rested after creating the heavens and the earth? The seventh day is Saturday. That's the Sabbath. Today is Sunday, the first day of the week. By your logic, you will be going to hell as well, and from the looks of it, you'll be there long before we will." Granny Karen's reaction was priceless. Her face was white as a ghost, eyes as wide as golf balls, her jaw hitting the ground, and she was speechless. I was thinking mic drop moment and was ready to walk away, only to notice that the air had been sucked out of the room, and a dozen or more other churchgoers who witnessed the interaction between Granny Karen and I all had the same look of shock on their faces. After a moment of silence, they all rallied behind Granny Karen and chased Nick and I out of the church. They were a few pitchforks and torches away from reenacting the mob scene from Frankenstein. They followed us to the parking lot, cursing and screaming. Nick and I sprinted to our car and bolted out of there. There was a moment of silence in the car. Nick was clearly upset with me. I was still fuming a little over how Granny Karen treated us, but mostly I was trying to hold back the laughter from the insanity of what just happened. Finally, Nick breaks the silence.
"Why did you do that? We could have taken the moral high road and walked away. But you had to retaliate and practically start a riot. You do realize we cannot go back to that church?"
Hey, Granny Karen started it. She was way out of line and had no right to yell at us the way she did. I wanted to teach her that if she plays with fire, she will get burnt. And that no one, especially her, has the right to judge us and say that we're going to hell. Only God decides that, and honestly, I don't regret a thing. In the end, Nick and I went back to spending our Sundays in our apartment watching TV, playing video games, and listening to the Sunday services online. None of the people who chased us out of the church that day attended the Tuesday night Bible study, so Nick and I continued to attend those without any further incidences happening. To this day, Nick and I remain the best of friends, and whenever this story is brought up in conversation, we both laugh hysterically. But you tell me, should I have just taken the moral high road and walked away? Was I justified in giving Granny Karen a taste of her own medicine? Or did I cross a line, take it too far, and deserve to have the church mob cast Nick and I out? Was I the a-hole? 5. The airport brings out all of the Karens. I am a frequent business traveler and have seen most of the potential things that can go wrong with air travel. I learned long ago to roll with it and not take it out on airline agents or flight crews. My connecting flight tonight through one of the largest US airports started getting delayed from its original 10:30 p.m. takeoff to after midnight, then later, and later. I see the writing on the wall and wander down to the help desk. At this point, I'd land at 3:45 a.m. to be at my company's office at 8 for stuff I could do on Zoom anyway. I asked to just get sent back on the 8 a.m. to my home, which is a 30-minute flight. I'll figure a way to rough it out for the night in the airport. While that process happens, and so far during my camp out here, I've witnessed various Karens in the wild engaged in accosting an airline agent because the woman's restroom nearest her gate has been closed by a cleaning crew for an hour, forcing her to walk 5 gates down to the next one. Karen is enthusiastically, angrily, telling the airline agent from about 20 feet away that the airline agent needs to call someone or go down there herself and get the bathroom opened. "Yes, ma'am. I can see how that could be inconvenient. Yes, ma'am. I will get right on that." Mind you, it's around 1:30 a.m. at that point. Karens 2A and 2B are a pair of ladies, maybe sisters, maybe just friends with the same hair color. Makeup, Botox, and yoga pants, one in a sweatshirt, the other in a blazer. The middle of the night makes an opportune time for construction and maintenance, you know. That includes an airport shutting down one track of the trains between terminals, and even some of the walkways for repairs or upgrades. I don't know. These Karen twins decide that the signs and digital signs about slow train service, and the big yellow barriers with red signs about no access due to construction, and the security worker can't really apply to them. They proceed to slide over to the barrier to good cop, bad cop the security guard to insist they need to walk through the construction zone to get to baggage claim instead of waiting 7 minutes for the train. After being denied, they act like those kids in a movie, looking around to see if they could sneak past without getting seen. Karen number 3 is an older man who tries the same act right after 2A and 2B. In fact, his approach to the security guard is when the first two try seeing if they can jiggle the fence. Karens 4 and 5, an older married couple at 3 a.m., stuck here like many others from cancelled flights. They walk up to the doors of the airport club, which are roped off and locked. The signs are very obvious that it is closed and reopens at like 6 a.m. These are the automatic sliding doors. They try forcing them apart. They pull them outwards to open and break in. One waves their traveling couple friends in. A minute or two later, I see them come back out, followed by a cleaning crew person and an airport cop that were inside, I guess. Karens are red-faced and huffy. I've already forgotten other examples because I'm delirious from lack of sleep. At least there were some nice people. A lot of very nice airline agents who have shown far more patience than I could in their shoes. A fellow passenger who politely asked if she could line jump me at the help desk, simply to ask the guy for a bottle of water and a blanket. I was like, yep, no problem. I'm not going to be anywhere for a while. She was like, I'll ask for one for you too. Just be kind to other people and we'll be better off. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Idiots in the Wild, episode 110. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Now, I know I ask every video, and I'll keep asking every video, please hit the like button before you go, it is very helpful to the channel. Don't know why it's more helpful than you guys actually watching the videos, but it is, so mustn't grumble, that's how it's done. Right, let's see. No other business today, so we'll move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, what is your favorite healthy, in big ol' air quotes, snack that you know isn't really that healthy, but you have it because you convinced yourself that it is? I say this as I'm nibbling on dark chocolate as I do this stream. So I get the darkest one I can find in the stores, and I tell myself that it's really super awesome and healthy for me. It does have some health benefits, but there are, there is still bad stuff in there, like fat and sugar and, probably a bit of arsenic, maybe a bit of old lace. Anyway, let me know what you think in a comment below. I look forward to reading your answers. Maybe I'll pick up some new bad habits. Not that I need any. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.